Here's a quick guide on how to do Halls of Valor. If you already know the plays, then this isn't for you. This is for people who are too scared to ask for help, but want to be able to do it themselves. Starting off the dungeon, you go ahead and pull these first two here. If you have confidence in your group, you can also pull back to the other three. The second group's going to have an interrupt here, Thunderous Bolt. You're going to want to interrupt that as soon as possible. If not, you'll get an AoE that looks like this. Coming up on this third group is the same as the second group, only now there's a dragon. And it's going to have a couple other abilities. It's going to be dropping tornadoes on the ground, but it's also going to have a frontal like this here. Here's your first boss. It's pretty straightforward. You just avoid certain mechanics and just kind of know what's going on in the fight. First mechanic here, Dancing Blaze. You're going to target a random person, just throw an axe there. It's going to be spinning on the ground for a little bit. And then the second one he does right afterwards. Horn of Valor, he's going to call in 3 dragons. Just try to find them and get out of their way as quick as possible. And as soon as they go back through, watch out for the tornadoes, but get into your original position. And then his third ability, he's going to be weaving in between each of those two, and it's essentially just a bleed that he's going to put on the tank. After that, it's just rinse and repeat until he's dead. For the next group of mobs, you're going to have a guy that's walking back and forth. You're going to have 2 options. You can go right or left. If you see him going left, you go right. If you see him going right, you go left. Go ahead and grab these 3 and pull them up the stairs a little bit because you don't want to pull that big guy walking back and forth. Make sure you're interrupting as quick as possible so you can bring these guys closer to you. These guys are essentially the same. There's one more ability you're going to want to interrupt. That's Etch right here. So coming up, this is pretty important. You're going to want to go left, but keep an eye on that big guy. He's going to be walking back and forth through this whole hallway. So just make sure that whenever you're pulling like this, in this spot, you have him on your screen somewhere, just keeping tabs on him. If you ever lose track of him, just try to get him back on your screen, just so you know that he's not being pulled too early. And here we have to wait a couple seconds. He's pretty quick, so it's not that big of a deal, you know, unless you're in a serious time crunch. You can usually wait for him to path back away from the group. These next 2, there's nothing really special about them. So with this next group, this guy in the middle, go ahead and interrupt him as soon as he pulls. And whenever you're doing this portion, try to stay close to the stairs so you don't end up pulling this next group. With this being a lower dungeon, it's not that big of a deal, but you do still have to watch out for this ability here, Valkyrie's Advance. They're going to jump to a random player and then face towards a direction. You need to move out of the way as quick as possible because that ability you just seen will pretty much one-shot anybody, even the tank. And no, warriors, you cannot spell reflect that. This first mini-boss, he's pretty easy. All you gotta do is stand in the big bubble and just burn him down as quick as possible. This next mini-boss, he's also pretty easy. Just interrupt the Searing Light, and then for the next ability, you're just going to dodge the big orbs that he spits out. So this boss here is kind of unique in the fact that whatever side they're standing on, that is the person's ability that they're going to have. And the longer they're in that side, the more powerful their attacks become. So as you can see, this first part, I started her on the blue side, so we all just stood in the orb, but then I immediately pull her to the other side. And normally you can burn her down before you have to switch back to the other side, but if it starts taking too much damage, then I would suggest going back over to the blue side until the original stacks fall off. So now that she's done, we're going to go back into that hallway to where we originally started, but we're going to keep going all the way to the opposite side. This is essentially the same as the first time we've done this, but this time we actually let one of the healing circles go off, and we also pull that big guy And all you want to do is just pull him out of that healing circle and dodge the lightning that the big guy is going to drop. Now that we're done with that, just keep going, run through the portal, and you're immediately going to run into another one of those dragons that we've seen at the very beginning. Just go ahead and burn him down. This section is really easy to get lost your first time here. Just go ahead and stick to the far right side and just follow the tree line until you reach this first boss. He doesn't really have any special abilities. He's just going to jump around a little bit, and you're just going to DPS him until he finally disappears. When he disappears, just keep following that path. Now you see there's two groups of wolves here. Do not pull them both because they do a lot of damage, and if you think you can survive it, you will die. They're just, for whatever reason, they just do a lot of damage. Now we can do the second part of this boss fight. It's essentially the same thing, but Unnerving Howl will now spawn 3 wolves with random targets. Just go ahead and DPS him down as quick as possible so nobody dies. And he's going to cast Scent of Blood. He's going to target a random person and just start going after them. A lot of people will kite him into his den. Here we just kind of stood there because it's such a low key that he didn't really do a lot of damage. Now on your way back, you're going to want to grab this group here. You only want them for the percentage. If you end up pulling a lot of random stuff coming here, you may not need to pull them. Just keep an eye on your percentage and make sure that you're getting 100% before you reach the final boss. Here we're trying not to pull anything, but most of the time something gets pulled. Just don't do what I do and pull even more stuff while trying to kill it. Just go ahead and burn it down before going back through the portal. These next two groups we pull are essentially the same as before. You just interrupt as much as you can and just burn them down fast. And with these two guys, if you can get them synced up, it's really nice, but if you can't, just try to do your best as possible of avoiding everything. Just make your healer's life that much easier. So once you get up here, there's going to be 4 different guys to talk to. The first one is on the far left. He's got this unruly yell. Just interrupt that. This next one's going to absorb the power of the first one, so he's going to have unruly yell, plus he's going to have a debuff he's going to apply to you. And with this last group, they're both going to come out at the same time, and they're going to have all the abilities you just previously experienced, so the debuff and unruly yell, but they're going to have also Call Ancestor. They're going to put this ad on the ground. You just want to CC it or DPS it down as quick as possible, because if it gets to them, it's going to heal them for 25% of their health. So after you beat all 4 of them, Odin's going to go ahead and drop this Shield of Aegis. Just go ahead and pick that up to start the RP. So for this boss here, he's going to cast Fellblaze Rush. Now he's going to jump to a random person, and immediately after he's going to cast Ragnarok. Just take a couple steps back and activate the shield as soon as the cast begins. Now once that shield wears off, you're going to drop it on the ground. He's going to run over, pick it up, and immediately use it. You're going to want to get behind the shield. He's going to start spawning ads that put this green stuff on the ground, but he's also going to drop the shield himself. Now you need to run over and pick that up, or else for this next phase you are going to wipe. He's going to cast 2 more Fellblaze Rush, so he's going to cast 2 this time, not 1. And then he's going to cast Ragnarok, and you're going to activate the shield once again, and then it's just rinse and repeat at that point. So for Odin, there's a lot of mechanics. I'm going to go ahead and just introduce them as they come to us. He's going to put these spears on the ground. Just dodge the orbs because they will stun you. When he spawns this ad, kill it as quick as possible and interrupt the ability it's casting over and over again. But also this here, this big AoE, you want to get out of that as quick as possible. If not, this here happens. Typically that's a one shot. I don't know how I lived. But after this, he's going to put a rune over everybody's head. And you're going to want to run to the circle that matches it. And if not, you're going to be taking damage the entire time. I'm just showing off a couple here and there of people grabbing theirs. You're going to get this buff. And you're just going to get them down to 80% and you'll be done. I hope this video helped. And if you heard my kid screaming in the background, he's He's wild today. I don't know what to tell you.